The restaurant buzzed with chatter and soft music when he walked in, the kind of man everyone noticed. Dressed in a tailored suit, with an air of superiority hanging on his shoulders, the millionaire was known for his arrogance as much as his wealth. He carried himself like the room belonged to him, and perhaps, in his mind, it did. As waiters moved briskly between tables, his sharp eyes landed on one particular girl. She was young, clearly shy, balancing trays with nervous precision, her eyes avoiding his gaze. That, of course, made her an easy target. With a smirk curling at the edge of his lips, he leaned back in his chair and raised his voice, ensuring the whole room could hear. Pointing directly at her, he called out, daring her to step onto the stage where the live band was playing and dance. His words cut through the hum of conversations like a knife, and suddenly all eyes turned toward her. A hush fell, followed quickly by stifled laughter. Diners exchanged amused glances, expecting her to blush, shake her head, and scurry away in embarrassment. After all, what chance did a simple waitress have under the blinding gaze of so many strangers? She froze, her hands trembling slightly, cheeks burning as the weight of humiliation pressed down on her. The moment stretched endlessly, with the audience waiting for her to falter. But deep inside, a spark stirred, quiet, fragile, yet unyielding, setting the stage for something no one in the room could have foreseen. The waitress stood frozen for a moment, her heart pounding so loudly it drowned out the laughter around her. She could feel every gaze fixed on her, some mocking, some pitying, and it made her throat tighten. All her life she had been invisible, moving quietly from table to table, earning just enough to keep her younger brother in school. She never asked for attention, never wanted the spotlight. And yet, here it was, thrust upon her in the cruelest way possible. Her hands shook as she placed the tray down, afraid she might drop it. For a second, she considered retreating to the kitchen, hiding until the moment passed. But something inside her refused to let this humiliation define her. A small, defiant voice whispered in her heart, "Don't run. Show them who you are." She took a slow breath and lifted her chin. Without a word, she began walking toward the stage. The crowd fell into a stunned silence. The millionaire leaned forward, amusement flickering in his eyes, certain she would stumble and prove his point. But as she stepped beneath the glow of the stage lights, a different energy surrounded her. The band glanced at her uncertainly, then struck a rhythm, as if sensing something extraordinary was about to unfold. The waitress closed her eyes for a brief moment, letting the music seep into her soul. When she opened them again, the fear in her expression had shifted into quiet determination. The first step she took was hesitant, but it carried the weight of courage. The first notes of the melody filled the room, and she moved, tentatively at first, like testing the water's edge. But then something remarkable happened. With every beat, her body seemed to remember a part of itself long forgotten. Her steps grew bolder, her spins more graceful, until she no longer looked like a waitress in a simple uniform but like a dancer born for the stage. The audience that had been ready to laugh now sat in stunned silence. Forks paused halfway to mouths, conversations stilled, eyes widened. Each movement told a story, of hardship, of late nights spent working 2 jobs, of dreams sacrificed but never fully extinguished. She danced with a power that came not from training or practice, but from resilience, from the fire of someone who had lived through struggle and still dared to shine. The band, swept up in her energy, played with renewed passion. The soft notes turned bold, matching the intensity of her rhythm. She spun across the stage, hair catching the light, eyes glistening with both vulnerability and strength. Every gesture carried the weight of her hidden journey, and yet every smile she gave the crowd was filled with undeniable joy. By the time the final note lingered in the air, the room was transformed. No one was laughing anymore. Instead, there was only silence, followed by the eruption of thunderous applause. In that instant, the shy waitress had become the star, and the cruel dare had turned into her moment of triumph. The applause thundered through the room, and for the first time that evening, the arrogant millionaire's confident smirk faded. He had expected laughter, humiliation, perhaps even tears, but not this. He found himself standing, clapping louder than he realized, his chest tight with something unfamiliar. It wasn't just admiration for her talent, it was shame for how he had treated her. As the crowd rose to their feet in a standing ovation, his gaze lingered on her face. She wasn't just a waitress anymore. She was a woman who had fought battles he couldn't imagine, someone who had just taught him, taught everyone, that dignity and strength can't be measured by money or status. For the first time in years, he felt small. The waitress, breathless but glowing with pride, looked out over the sea of faces. She had never dreamed of this moment, never thought she could silence a room with her presence. Yet here she stood, transformed, her spirit shining brighter than the lights above her. The millionaire pressed a hand to his chest, realizing the hollowness of his own life. All the wealth, all the power, yet he had never inspired anyone the way she just had. Something cracked open inside him, an ache he hadn't felt in years. He understood in that moment that arrogance had blinded him to the beauty of humanity. With genuine humility softening his voice, he whispered to himself, "She's more than I'll ever be." That night, the lesson belonged not to her, but to him. Tears shimmered in the waitress's eyes as the applause swelled around her. For once, she wasn't invisible. She wasn't the girl cleaning tables or rushing trays, she was seen, truly seen. She bowed with trembling hands, overwhelmed, but the joy in her heart was steady and strong. The millionaire, moved beyond words, stepped forward. For the first time in his life, his voice carried not arrogance but humility. He apologized openly, his tone soft, stripped of pride. Then, to everyone's surprise, he offered to sponsor her dance lessons, promising to help her chase the dream she had buried for so long. Gasps rippled through the crowd, but she only smiled, because what mattered most wasn't the offer, it was the respect. That night, the restaurant became more than just a place for fine dining. It became the stage for a transformation. A room full of strangers walked away with a lesson stitched into their hearts: never measure a person's worth by their uniform, their job, or their silence. Within every quiet soul might live a brilliance the world hasn't yet witnessed. As the crowd cheered her one last time, the waitress glanced toward the back where her younger brother had been watching. His proud smile told her everything, her courage had given him hope too. And in that single, shining moment, she realized the truth: dignity and kindness outshine wealth, and the human spirit is far richer than gold. The night ended not with arrogance, but with inspiration.